Oh boy, this has been a long time coming. So, a few of you might remember my rant about Deltaruined, and yes, my opinions about that game still stand, and how it offended quite a few people. Heck, my rant about the Calamity mod is one of my most viewed videos, and that wasn't entirely serious. I love Calamity. But woo, I've now come back with a long time coming sequel to my Deltaruined rant, and a rant about Fnaf VR. This is going to be a lot harder to make than my Deltaruined rant, because I actually like Fnaf, and I need a legitimate structure, whereas Deltaruined, in my opinion, is so bad that it can be argued against without a structure. Anyways, that's enough rambling. Today I propose to you that Fnaf VR Help Wanted is possibly the worst entry to the Fnaf franchise as a whole. Game series wise, the books have a whole other thing coming. And here's why. Alright, let's get this out of the way first. This whole rant is based on the game as an entry in the FNAF series, not as a game. The game's great gameplay-wise, possibly the scariest FNAF game, and definitely more of a game than Deltaruined. But, that's about it, in my opinion. Of course, if you're not a lore-obsessed die-hard fan, that's all you need, and trust me, the game's a blast. But my criticism still stands in the canon. Still, I do have some other things to get off my chest, so let's go. First off is the models. This is really controversial. I'm fully aware that the models were adjusted for VR, but seriously, this is the best the whole team could do compared to a single man? Most animatronics look fine enough, but things like Bonnie's secondary colour being white, Toy Freddy being too brown, and the Phantoms using FNAF 1 models really throws off the whole experience for me. But that's not the worst, no. The worst one threw the animatronic off so much I can hardly look at it. Oh my god. This is possibly a large sign of a lack of care and time put into the game. Ennard has one eyebrow. They looked at the images of Ennard where it had no eyebrow due to a mistake and thought, oh, well, I guess he must only have one eyebrow. Well, me Steelwool Studios, me can have some mayonnaise on pancake for supper tonight. And it bothers me. I apologise about that, it was a bit far, but that's how much this one-eyebrowed freak triggers my autistic ass because I snort OCD like some kind of drug. And it wouldn't be as big of a deal if it weren't for... Of all things to screw up in a FNAF game, after UCN's still images, we now have animatronics who would rather stare at you like a Karen that you just made an offensive joke within the proximity of, animatronics who are strong candidates for the spirit animal of the kid with ADHD, who likely possesses them. Or they are only scary to introverts due to them not being programmed with a simple concept of personal space in mind. Possibly the worst part is having to look at the bad models up close in your face. I mean, I can see the individual polygons for crying out loud. Point is, some jump scares are too close, making Freddy not scary anymore, just stupid looking. Oh, who's your little big snoot boy? And Foxy and Mangle have Tourette's. One more thing, and this just adds more fuel to the fire. Half the jump scares don't even make the right sound. More evidence of a lack of care and time. But my next issue is so big that I'd rather not play the FNAF 2 mode in this game at all. I mean, how has nobody else complained? Weren't these guys like the biggest part of FNAF 2? They were freaking plastered everywhere to advertise it. And no, this sad excuse does not count. The Phantoms don't even use the right models. No, instead of Wizards, we have Foxy.
Hello!
He is repelled by the light, as usual, but now it's such a small threat that you can play the night without even thinking about him. I thought Foxy was the one who brought a new mechanic you had to constantly be wary of. No puppet dance is enough to make me forgive this. Why aren't they here anyway? Laziness? Lack of time? Because you've already delayed the game once. Surely you had enough time or could just delay it again. Anything so long as this isn't a final product. It just feels like an unfinished beta to me. I don't consider this a full game, and that's made worse by the ending. More on that later. Now we're moving on to part 2. Mainly lore-based stuff where most of my criticism lies. Trust me, when I think of this game's lore, it makes me gag. The only thing worse is, and I struggle to even mention this for fear of immediate consecutive stroke and heart failure, the book.
You died!
Sorry guys, I had to stop recording for a moment. I just committed temporary cease to be again. That happens. Anyway, without further ado, we begin. So we begin this journey into the virtual reality Fnaf game with Hand Unit, how is he still alive, telling us we are in a virtual experience of rumours about Fazbear Entertainment. You what? What the hell kind of logic is that? What, your company gets some bad rumours over the course of the last 30 to 40 years or so, and what do? Well, let's make a VR experience of our so-called rumours to make people laugh and forget about them. Well, this is a great idea and certainly normal way of thinking. It's not. It's not, is the point. Like, were they just thinking of an excuse to set a game after Fnaf 6? Want my advice? Don't! You do not set a game after Fnaf 6. Everything is over in the lore and done with that game. After all the fake endings, I do not accept another Fnaf game later in the timeline. God, I hate this game. A VR experience in a VR experience. It's so stupid that it wouldn't even make for a good Crunkid plot. Aye. My main issue here is, I want a virtual reality experience as a night guard or technician, not a VR experience of a VR experience as a night guard or technician. How the hell's that meant to be immersive? I wanted to know more about the plush babies as well, the quote-unquote best original addition to any game ever. First off, not true! It's just another gimmick you have to figure out like everyone else. And second off, continuing what I was saying, we won't know more about Plush Baby because it's just in VR, they don't actually exist. Let's move on now to the main antagonist and my issues with them now, shall we? This guy is probably the best looking model in the whole game, and I bet it's because it's not failing horribly at being a good looking VR model as someone else. My issue with the thing is, again, the little bit of lore we have on it. It came out of nowhere as a virus while the game was being developed by Silver Parasol Games, and the only guy to notice at first was a beta tester named Jeremy. For God's sake! Are we honestly expected to accept that there's 3 Jeremys in a game series whose lore relies on every name being important? Oh, bloody hell, and we're expected to care about him too. All we know is Bunny McFucknuggets over here decided to seduce Jeremy or something and the company was trying to fire him. Eventually, Jeremy dies via chopping his face off with one of those little paper guillotines. Enter Tape Girl. Now she sees the dumb rabbit and it's doing crap with her. So she makes tapes logging it for the next beta testers because apparently they're handing the game over to someone else. We play as said beta testers and listen to the bullshit these tapes spew, such as find my tapes and I'll help you destroy the rabbit, and finding my tapes will strengthen Fuckface McGee. Great, the only person to turn to and she's bipolar. Titnose itself will slowly materialize and come closer to you in the lobby the more tapes and coins you get. He'll also make noises that are actually distorted versions of Tape Tramp's voice. Oh, spoopy. Does that mean that this thing is actually Wabbit Wench? Maybe. I don't care. Moving on, you find all tapes to get the best ending, which I guess we should move on to now because I hate that too. The first and probably worst ending occurs when playing the pizza party level. I'll quickly skim over it because I have no issues with it. Bun Bung McPistains wants you to find it, with all directions all over the place and the question, do you trust me? Silly wabbit, I don't even trust myself. Relatable Joe! That's right guys, I am now the James Marriott Show, where depression and self-hatred jokes are all I have to offer. Once you actually find Springtramp McDrugs Galore, it lures you behind a curtain and then you get stuffed into Freddy and are forced to sing while the demented thing dances like I disabled the Gmod Ragdoll's gravity. I like this. I like to think of it as a simulation of Freddy's death and possession. Great bad ending. My issue is the good ending. You get all tapes, follow Miss Tapehead's instructions to kill Golden Bonnie, and... How is this even considered an ending? No credits? No defeat of the villain? This is why I think this game is a rushed and unfinished mess. as well as bugs in the early access like Funtime Freddy breaking and Ennard not even being playable. But that's not even all. My biggest issue with this game is one often overlooked. It ruins not only this game, but the whole franchise. There's a good reason I saved it for last. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you... This is it, guys. The moment where all Fnaf lore is ruined. The point where we reach the dark times. The point where instead of being overloaded with tropes like Deltaruined, we get one single trope. The most destructive. This single trope makes me hate this whole game more than I hate the fandom. A self-insert. You heard me right, folks. Scott threw himself in the lore as an indie developer making games about the rumors of Freddy's. Don't understand what this means, or you think you do, but don't see just how destructive this one move is? Let me spell it out. None of the games actually happened. Yep, the games are just that. Games. They aren't canon. They never were. What the fuck? Scott, I thought you were better than this. People spent months, years, they dedicated time out of their freaking lives, and lots of it, mind you, to these games, and they all never happened. You... That does it. I've made up my mind, Scott. I didn't want to do this, but after this game, and months of thinking, I deduce. You are an idiot. To summarise, Fnaf VR is a great and terrifying VR experience, but at the same time, a stain on the Fnaf franchise. From bad models to stupid lore, all the way to a self-insert, this game does not deserve its space in canon. My solution? Simple. Remove this stupid game from Fnaf canon, and while you're at it, do us all a favour and do the same for those god-awful works of fiction you call the book.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry to inform you that Calamity has temporarily ceased to be again. While I sort this, I, Crunkid, will outro the video. Now let's have a look at this script. Thank you all for listening. I understand that this is probably more controversial than my Deltaruined rant, but it's something serious. If you like this or like getting triggered at my opinions, let me know and I will make more of these. Trust me, I have lots to rant about. Thank you again, and see you next time.
And I'm the Grand Dragon!
Shut up!